Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Mumphrey, and welcome to another episode of Talking Business. Today, we're taking a bit of a different path to talk about something that has grown in American conversations as of late, and that is the conversation of mental health. The American Psychiatric Association says that more than half of the people with mental illness don't receive help due to concerns of being treated differently or fears of losing their jobs or livelihood. But lately, that stigma is starting to change. That is why people like Darryl Ford are important. Darryl is a behavior therapist whose focus is on the you. Today, we talk about how his life experiences led him on the path of mental health. Today, we talk mental health with Darryl Ford. How you doing, Darryl?
Not bad. How about yourself?
I am great. So I just wanted to start it off what got you interested in the field of mental health?
Well, I'm from Gary, Indiana. So growing up, I kind of was like pushing in a few different directions. Like, I stayed with my grandmother, for a couple of years, like foster care. She was a foster care. She had a foster care license at the time. I didn't understand like why, my parents really couldn't, take care of me. I just didn't understand what was going on. But not only that, just looking out my window into the streets of Gary, Indiana, I seen a lot of other families that kind of resembled of mine. So it was like I didn't understand it, So my thing is, in early adolescence, I would find the other kids in school who were like, getting good grades and stuff like that, and when like, how are you doing this? Because I felt like it was like a magic trick, like you were just born like that. So it's like I didn't understand, like they taught me certain things, and I kept bullies away from them. So that's how I kind of start to like academics, because I believe that I'm just as smart as those guys, because they're the kids was teaching me, but I was on the back end handling things that they couldn't handle. So I kind of grew up with those same guys. But as I went to college, that's when it dawned on me. And I studied psych, but I went to college for dentistry. But my father ended up passing my first year. So that put me in like a mental place. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I haven't been through a lot. And then this happened my first year. So as I felt like I was like losing a little bit, I felt like God had led me to psychology. And through psychology, I was able to, studying that, I was able to see myself, see what I was affected by, and it was more so like it's my mind, not only that, just learning that what I've been through was like not normal, and it's like, and I had to like let a lot of those things go. So once I seen a lot of those things in me, it opened my eyes up to other people, my family. Then not only that, just in the communities, where I was in Minnesota. So I started doing treatment. I didn't go through treatment, but I went to a treatment center and started as a counselor with, at-risk youth that were like myself. And I was seeing like it was night and day, exactly myself and how I was behaving in them. Once I seen that, it was like, yo, your perception is wrong.
So
It's off.
It's almost like somewhat of an outer body experience in a sense.
Yeah,
Seeing
it was like
through other people. Seeing yourself through other people.
Yeah, I was like, it was like scary. It's like, it's not something I wanted to see. But when you study I studied chemistry so much, at one point, I started to see angles. So when I studied psychology so much, I started to see things that it talked about in the books in the people, whether it's hurt, whether it's like depression, whether it's, certain disorders, bipolars, and, they didn't know, and once I studied these things, I then went home and was able to kind of see a lot of things that were, affected my family. So from then I, grabbed my mom and I moved her to Minnesota in 2018, and she's here now. She has some of the best doctors, that she can have, and services that she can have to, help her with the mental health, because she, like myself, I've been through a lot, but if I can just understand her story and listen to her story is way, more tragic than mine, and she lost her husband, which is another, just a counter effect, with the mental health part.
Yeah.
Seeing my mom go down, it was like, how do I, how do put the pieces back together. You don't ever want to see a parent go down, but to see one go down, then to see another one teetering the fence is like, and you don't have any help. It's like I had to, go into that field. And once I went into it, it was like more so it was breathing life into me. And I was able to, kind of, help other people understand their, diagnosis or what they've been plagued with to even cope with that so they can have a better outlook on life. Because it was more so like your environment, your environment. I study sociology too. So it was like your environment can help create, a reality. And once your mind picks up on that, because your subconscious never turns off, once it picks up on that, it starts to develop and create, a reality in your paradigm. And that's what you start to, on your outlook, it becomes, you accept it. So it's like if you're around different environment, it's like I probably wouldn't have never went through that. But in that environment, that's where I was in. But I wanted to get out, so I figured out a way to get out. And the way that I had to get out, I left at 15. I left home at 15. Went to Minnesota, and because I felt like if I would have stayed where I was at, it was more of the mental health than it was more of me. And I felt like I would have succumbed to that. Eventually, I would have succumbed to it.
So you were very aware of your environment, even at a very young age.
Right. Really not knowing that. I didn't really know how much I was aware. I just knew that I felt certain things in certain places. I didn't like how it felt. It make me, act a certain way or, but then when I got to study psychology, it was more like teaching me about those, energies and about those, things that I was around and why I was feeling like that. And, not only that, to be stronger in my psyche, to be around situations like that and not to succumb to it. Taught me how to, protect myself with boundaries, things of like that, just teaching me a proper mental health, to be healthy and, and to let other people know, like, yo, it's not things that are outside of you, but it's you. It's what you allow, is what you accept, is where you live, is what you don't know. I studied, also studied and did research on Gary, Indiana, and learned that even in the 60s, it was like a really booming place. But then the steel mill and the plants came in. And when the steel mill and the plants come in, the people that got the education and the money, they leave. But the people that don't, they're left there in that environment. Yeah. And they succumb to those things, those toxins and, the environment, because they can't leave because they don't have the education or the finances, the capital, or it's like religion that kind of keeps you in a place, or tradition kind of keeps you in a place. Okay. But you see the birds, when it's time to leave, the birds are going to leave. That should tell you that, yo, like, and I said, when it's time for the birds to leave, even they leave.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at our people, it's like, why do we stick around when we know there's something that's going to cause destruction amongst us? We're going to still stay. Like, why is that? So I looked at a lot of situations, wanted to, see how can I get out of this situation? And I tell people the way that I got out of it, I had to leave my family at 15 because I didn't know who I was, and I was becoming to be who they wanted me to be. And I felt like if I became who they wanted me to be, in a sense, it wouldn't be who I am today because they didn't see this coming. But it's only because, and it's
very perceptive of you at 15.
Yeah, it was tough, man. But looking back at it, I didn't understand what I was doing. I was just doing it with no fear, no worry. Just like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change a cycle. I'm going to, bring something, back to my family that can help us all going forward, not just in this generation, but generations to come. And it was just more so like our mental health, like the drugs that was involved, the alcohol, the abuse that came with it, to seeing the emotions fly off like it's just normal. And I picked up some of those things and took it into the world, and where I'm like, oh, like, you guys don't talk like that? Or that's kind of how we talk where I'm from. But it was like how I was being raised wasn't preparing me to be in the world, to be civilized and to be, professional. So I had to leave. And as I was telling you, I was trying to find a way to, be intelligent. I was intelligent, but to figure a way how to, learn my own intelligence so I can go off into the world and help my family see things that they couldn't see. So I had to go outside, my family, to go meet other friends that was in the suburbs. I had to do a lot of things that my family frowned upon as, early adolescence, but to this day, they see it now. It took years, about 15, 16 years.
Okay. Now we're not
Just
gonna get into the schooling aspect of being a
yeah.
behavioral therapist. So is it somewhat like being a like how many years of schooling did you have to have for this?
Well, I did my 4 year, and from that, I still was kind of unsure what I really wanted to do or what I really was good at. So I spent some time just working, getting a lot of experience, getting these titles, and didn't really know what the titles meant. Just like, oh, I got this title, got that title, all right, cool, whatever. But didn't really know what I was becoming. And when I put all the experience together, it was like, yo, like you can actually be a behavioral therapist. You got the experience, you got the like what I've done with my mom, um, my credentials and what I'm like actually doing in the city. I got helped with a friend that had her license, and that was what allowed me to become that. But I had it in me. I mean, just being around a therapist, psychologist, they're like, yo, this guy, he knows exactly what we know, but he knows it like at a different angle. Like I didn't even have the master's school, yet. It's just like you just have something that even people that went to school don't have.
You've been out in the element, so you have a more of a better understanding of it.
Right. Yep. And I continue to study, just to this day. I don't stop studying. I study every day because I continue to serve people, and I want to, just be more of aware of kind of what's going on, not just from the psychological standpoint of mental health, but even from the spiritual part. Because I feel like a lot of that stuff is what we deal with, and that's the part we really can't see, but we can train ourselves to, see that and understand like what we're up against. And I feel like also again to going back to mental health, I feel like it's a spiritual component behind that, but that's just my perspective on that.
Like what year was it when you became a behavioral therapist?
Actually, last year.
Like so okay, so when you see like the I guess when like maybe and I could be wrong about this, but like maybe within like the last maybe 5 or 10 years, you're hearing more conversations on mental health.
Yeah, I mean, I was hearing more conversations on the mental health, but before mental health was a thing, I was like doing it, studying it. Before being positive and talking about energy and those things was a thing, I was like already on that spectrum. So it's like I tell people I'm not trendy with this. Like I've been doing this ever since I've been a kid. I've been aware. I just didn't know that I was
So
like, oh,
when you started like studying on it, was it kind of like were people around you? Did it kind of look tabooish?
nah, it didn't. You know, because I mean, when I study, I didn't study around people. Kind of just study by myself. So I just allowed things to kind of come to me. So I didn't even think of like, oh, is this superficial? This taboo or this real? Like, I didn't think of it because I guess for the most part, what I already knew when I read about it, it was like I was able to see it in the readings, but I didn't know that these readings had terms. So my only thing was like I was lacking the terminology. But I was like when I was reading it, was like, oh, yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, I know exactly what that looked like. I got an uncle that's like that, you know. But then I didn't know it was the term. Once I put the term with the content, now it made a deeper understanding connection with, mental health and like how it looks and how it presents itself, even in like just being impulsive, you're speaking or emotions from that part.
So you want to kind of like when you get a client, or are they usually because like especially in the black community, like therapy is kind of tabooish. So do you almost have to like make them comfortable when you usually get a client at first?
I mean, I get some pushback a little bit, but one of the things that kind of saves me and kind of actually gave me this job was the youth. The youth really, kind of gave me this job as in the sense that I had something to offer and to, that I was able to help them with their, thought process or their mental health. And that's when I started at the treatment center. That's when it just dawned on me like, yo, you got a gift. And it wasn't just about you being black because there was other black people that was there. It was more so like me, I'm here on purpose. I'm not here for any titles. I'm not here for anything other than what I'm here for. And when I did that, it showed the kids that I was there. So I was able to break barriers by, being consistent. Now, once they let me in, I was able to see and gain an insight of probably what's preventing them from moving forward or where their mental blockage was coming from. And then that's when we can start to build from there. And I got to the point to where, man, I was building these kids up. I'm talking about 12 kids in a unit, kids, from armed robbery, all types of stuff. Kids seeing their dad pass in front of them by gun violence. These kids was working out. They were going to school. They were getting good grades on this, campus. They were even having jobs on this campus. When them people seeing that, they wanted to get me up out of there, because I had so much authority in that unit that even the supervisor or the CEO didn't have it. It came to a point to where the supervisor would try to say something to me, and the kid would, try to protect me. And that's why I'm like, I was beginning to be too big, on the unit, but my gift was just like, I was healing the kids from what they told me. I never told myself this. I'm like, what you mean? I helped you with, healed you from, I ain't healed, but it was like, I opened their eyes up to something that they couldn't see. And once I seen that, it was like, a lot of stuff kind of came my way, but I knew I had something. I went to Indiana and did the same thing, with the kid, and it's like, then they told me out there in Indiana, like, yo, he's like a psychologist. And that's when I was like, oh, I would have never even thought that, because I still wasn't around these type of people. And that was 2018. So once I figured that part out, came back to Minnesota, it's like, you know what? Since I have this gift, I'm going to start studying it even more. So I started studying it, and that's how I came up with the Scholar Fit, which is a fitness program, but it's more so therapeutic fitness program that I use to, get to the more so people, but to the youth, and it kind of help change, like, just, well, if they having like a struggle with their mind, helping them get through that through their behavior. So it's like
the scholar fit. So when
yes,
people think of like therapy, they may not necessarily think of picking up weights or
right,
fitness per se. So how
yeah.
does fitness help as far as your mental health?
Well, I feel like the fitness help, like with the mental health, like just think of it like this, a hamster gets on a wheel, gets on a wheel, just keeping his brain, sharp. So it's like us, in a sense, like we still have to do, like fitness. Fitness shouldn't look like, oh, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything like that. But it's like your body has an ideal, fit that it would like to be at. It's like, so I try to help people get to that point through their body, but at the same time, I listen to their mind and see what they're telling me out of their minds. Like some people say, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can. You're doing it. But then it's like, if you're saying that you can't do this, then I listen to their mind more and see how many other things are you saying that you can do that you possibly can do. So through fitness, I'm able to show people and I write it down, like things that they say they can't do. And I show them like, here, this is what we were able to do. And that was you. So I give them the confidence and empower them, but I showed them on paper, like exactly what they're possible doing. And some people I get is like losing weight. Others is confidence. I help them build confidence to be able to perform on a big stage. Others is they want to, be able to, play with their kids, do things with their kids that they've never been able to do. So like I teach them these things, and, it's just through their mind. Like your mind is telling you that, but I see what you're able to do. And once you see what you're able to do, you can override your mind and, and take it back and control it. Because that's the only thing that I see with some of the people, like, you're not controlling your mind. And therefore, you're not controlling your mind. You're not controlling your breathing. And therefore, you're not controlling your actions or what's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I can see that. 'Cause, like when you work out, and I'd say you may not have been able to do but maybe 5 push-ups, and suddenly you work out longer, and it's like, oh, I can do 10 now. And you get that
Yep.
confidence, like, wait, maybe I can do 15. And
Yep.
next thing you know, you could probably doing 30 to 40 and getting ripped.
Yeah. And it's like, it's all about that initial thought. Like you got to change what's in here. And maybe, I mean, what's been in here has started from probably, in my opinion, I'd say from the womb. It's from the womb. It's like it got to be, life that's, put into us. Like there's some people that I know that don't know how to even throw a punch, never been in a fight. I'm like, man, that got to be one heck of a like lifestyle to live, to not have to know how to defend
I
yourself,
know
because
that's crazy.
you've never even been in that situation. But because I've been in that situation, I have to, know that. And it's like, we gather so much information, like our mind's only able to hold so much. So it's like we can't take in everything. So we got to nurture our minds with the right things, so we can so we can, use them for, life. So like me growing up, I turned how my life was and turned it into a positive. And that was all through my mind. I could have said, oh, my mom is doing this, my dad's doing this, my dad died and poor me, and I went to this, I went to that. Instead, I said, what can you do? How can we like push our mind to see something different? And that's when I challenged myself. I got into psychology. I put myself around things, uncomfortable situations to see truly what is my mind telling me? Is it true or not? Or is it because of where I was from and where I came from and what I put in my mind prior to being on these stages? And most of it is like I wasn't developed to be in the places of the U of M. I wasn't groomed to be there. I willed myself to be there. So I had to really develop my mind in a place to stay there, in a sense, because I felt like I was a fish out of water. Because I'm like, I don't know none of these guys. None of these guys like me. They don't look like me. They don't act like me. They don't behave like me. And it's like, I don't know how to talk to them. And it's because I was, from Gary, Indiana. And no one before me no one before me did what I did. So it was like, who do I talk to? I can't talk to people back home because they look at me like, who do I think I am? And I look at them like, I'm just trying to help out. So it's like I was in a weird mental place where I'm like, how do I break loose? How do I break loose? And I was just like, you know what? I just got to do what I know is on my heart. And if they understand it as I get older and with this, they'll understand. If they don't, they're going to see it through other people. And that's what, is happening now. Just seeing it through the communities that I help, through the people that I serve. Now my family are starting to realize like, yo, like I see what he was trying to do, and it's more so like, not just me, I'm saying I have this, but we all have gifts, but I just have one of the gifts to, help people see, in a sense, and that's what I just like to do, and it just shows up. And you may see me in a referee shirt, you may see me, doing a therapy, you may see me doing music, you may see me acting. But I'm saying no longer can you say that because of how you was raised is why you're in the situation you in. So I try to, provoke and evoke emotion out of the people that are, hurt, that need the healing, that need their eyes open, in a sense, to show that, yo, there's still, hope, and there's still things out there that you can achieve. You just gotta go in here, and get it out, cleanse this out, and a lot of that stuff is like, we're no different from like if you study the body and the mind, how it works, is like, it's really like a science to us. We hold in things through our breath. I don't want to say the words because I may be, I'm not quoting them right, but we can hold in toxins, through our environments and carry them along with us throughout our years of our life. And it's like, so through breath work, I also helped, myself release some stuff. Like I meditate, I breathe, so when I get in situations where I'm like, oh, I'm anxious and stuff like that, I just work on my breathing. And through those things, that helps me see things clear. But before the breathing, I'm going right back into panic mode, going right back into PTSD. Like, okay, this reminds me of such and such, but it's like, that's just your mind. Once you breathe and just, ease your mind, now you see like, oh, this is not, it's just mind. Your mind has abilities to play tricks on you. So the mental health part is the reason why, I really got into it, to, really protect my mind and keep it, and keep it solid and firm and healthy to a point to where I can see stuff, coming, and be there to continue to help people, because even like with our jobs, our careers, I get a lot of, I get principals that come to me, and I just see it. It's like, it's a system that we are all like attached to. And because that system that we're, most of it attached to, like the school system, like all you guys kind of behave the same. All you guys go home kind of with the same stories, come back, bring the same energy. You don't know why you're acting like this, but it's the system that you're in. And if you look at it, even from the states down, we're all in the system, from your state to my state. So again, it's just kind of, it's your mind. It's your mind, it's the system, is how they play on it. So when you study nature and you study culture, you study history, and you study the body and how it works, you start to understand how you can get attacked and how the mind can be attacked. And now it's like the mental health thing is a big thing now, because there's so many people that's unfit, but you gotta get your mind to be back fit, to be able to, withstand on this stuff. And to be able to do this, to gotta have boundaries, you gotta know yourself, you gotta be on purpose. You can't be, oh, what if this person thinks like that, everyone's gonna think how they're gonna think anyway. So it's like you gotta be driven. You can't care about what people are gonna say about you, because that's gonna, make you feel a certain way too. And then your true self knows when you're doing something good or you're doing something wrong. It'll tell you, but we have the ability to override that, and that gets us in trouble. Like, then it comes out like, oh, I knew I should have done this. I knew I shouldn't have done that. It's like, yeah, yourself trying to tell you, but you didn't surround yourself with so many things that are not real that you can't hear yourself.
Yeah.
So when you disconnect yourself from a lot of this material world that we live in, you can see what's going on for the most part and understand how to navigate yourself through the world without getting, falling victim to a lot of the things that people falling victim to. Like, I haven't watched TV in 4 years, since about 2018. And I challenge myself, say, you know what? I just want to see what's going on. I just want to see, if I take this away, if I take that away, what power do society have on me then?
So how did that
If I
how did it
take
work
their,
out for you?
it works out pretty good. I started to be more connected with myself and connected with nature, and understanding just like more of like things that don't matter. Like, I don't care about the soap operas. I don't care about the latest TV shows, man, because the stuff ain't doing nothing for us. It's just making us more stupid. In the most part, and I feel like it just is leading us astray. So it's like, until we know who we are, and for the most part, a lot of us don't know who we are down here. Down here, it's like, figure out who you are first before you start getting entertained and start celebrating. Because what have we done to celebrate? We ain't done working,
Exactly.
and it's working on us. We see what's going on here. We hear about it, but we're still out there, trying to be distracted. It ain't gonna work that way. We're not gonna heal as our land. We're not gonna get better if we don't pay attention to what's supposed to be paid attention to. And it's not the people that's already rich. It's not the people that's already glorified. It's like, it's not these things that doesn't serve you. You know, so that's where the mental health piece comes into place from our part, because I feel like for the most part we grow up fantasizing about a lot of things that are not real, believing in a lot of things that are not true, and then we gotta take that and try to unlearn that, which you can't do. You can't learn anything that you learn. You can't unsee anything that you already seen. You're gonna see it. So now you gotta weaken that muscle or the neuron, I would say, weaken that and retrain it in another way.
So let me ask you this: as far as like a child, they used to say that, the elements that raise a child is your parents, your schooling, and the environment you usually grow up around. So, what would you say out of usually those elements normally has, at least from the children that you've kind of helped out with, usually have the greatest effect on raising that child?
Man, I feel like the greatest effect that it had on raising me, what could have the greatest effect on raising me, would have been my parents. I feel like your parents trump all. It trumps the environment, it trumps school. Because your parents, you look to, in my opinion, you look to as your creator. That's the only creator you know. We can talk about God and everything, but the person that created us that we know is our parents. So we have a certain respect and a fear about our parents that's like, if this person says this, we're gonna do it. For the most part, and then it's like, our parents are able to change our environment. Our parents are able to go to our schools and change our teachers. So I feel like our parents has the greatest effect, if that's what you said, out
Yes.
of the three. I feel like our
Yes.
parents have that, and that's why, again, the mother, for being the discipline, not the disciplinary, she can be too, but play your role. We have roles to play. We can, it's like, I'm not saying that women supposed to be this and men supposed to be that. No, I'm not saying that. But it's like, if you have, like, if a man is a nurturer, let him be a nurturer. If a woman is the go getter, let her be that. If it's vice versa, let it happen. You know what I'm saying? But it can't be just one woman in the household trying to raise, a family. That's not gonna work. Or a man, one man in the household is not gonna work, because it got to be a balance. And so what you're teaching the kids, like, it can be one. It's like, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not what it said. That's not what it says. It says no man should should grow alone. Two become one. That's what it's about. It's not just about being individualized and being separate and separated. It's about coming together, be one. So when you have that, more stuff comes out of that, And, and I feel like that trumps your school setting, your system, and it trumps your environment because you have two people that know, how to get, people to certain places. I feel like my parents were attacked by the era of, the crack era,
Yeah.
the gun, the violence era. I feel like they were attacked and wasn't really, I can't say, oh, poor them, because there was other black people in the sense that were woke, quote unquote, that seen that coming. So it's like
Yeah.
it happened. I got affected by it, but I wasn't saying that, oh, this is my life. I ain't say that I'm gonna sell drugs. I didn't do none of those things. I said I'm not gonna do none of it. I'm gonna show you a way out of it. And I use this to do it. Now I couldn't. Now me, I was looking at saving my parents. I got upset when I couldn't save my dad because that's what I was going to school for. To save my parents because they couldn't save me. I seen that. So my dad passed, that messed me up because I was mad. Because I don't really get mad a lot, but when I get mad is when I can't control what I'm trying to control. It's mostly so like trying to get people to do good things, like, or I see someone get hurt and I can't do nothing about it. That makes me upset, But other than that, I don't really get temperamental. But when my mom is like, okay, my dad went, I had to figure out how to get my mom back going, and that took some time. I had to learn a lot about myself and how I looked at them when I was younger. I was upset with them, so I developed anger, hurt, resentment towards them. I had to forgive them, so me being the guardian of my mom now taught me a lot of, that I didn't know that I was holding on to, and I had to let go in order to, continue to love myself and love other women. How can I love another woman when I'm looking at my mom as like, you didn't do all that you can for me. Like, you my best friend and you gave up on me and I had to do this. So I couldn't do those things. I had to let that go. And that's another mental health thing that, you see with our young black men out here talking, bitch this, bitch that. And it's like, where did they get that from? Who hurt them is a woman. And sometimes it's not the girlfriend. Sometimes it's the parents, but now a lot of kids can't see what their parents went through that made them act and behave that way. So they instead go up and they try to, they look down on them. And it's ignorance because you don't know what their lifestyle was, and that's kind of how the road I was going down. I feel like God sent me to psychology, psychology, sociology to understand what has taken place, not just in my household, but other households that look like me and was living around I was living. And once I seen that, I had to, hey, we ain't the only ones, and we need to stop being quiet about what's been going on and start speaking up because we all been going through it. And that's another thing with mental health. I ain't gonna sit up and sit on my hands and act like I've been raised, like I look like I've been raised better than I have been raised. But I had some great people around me that's just been attacked in a different way. But one thing I ain't gonna do is act like I forgot where I came from. Now I know exactly where I came from. I share with you where I came from and how it affected me. But I also let you know what I didn't do to continue the cycle. And that's why I say like that's a real gangster, that's a real man. It's not out there. It's like, oh, I grew up around drugs, so I sold drugs. No, because what you did is just add to more of the mental health. Now those people are gonna have kids, and those kids are gonna grow up with either fetal alcohol syndrome, all types of stuff. And now it's like we dealing with more generational shit versus saying, you know what, I ain't gonna do that. If I gotta crawl on my hands, I'll make $1 before I go and make the dollar off the back or the mind of destroying someone else.
Now, would you say you being in psychology is kind of affected how you view people, like maybe have more patience or you have more of an understanding of why certain people do certain acts?
Yeah, and that's a good question that you asked. It makes me more like I process it, before I just impulsively go off the handle. I seek to understand it and be like, this person had a bad day. Or I can see like a little tear and like, oh, this person is really hurt. But that's, they're presenting as if it's anger, but they're not. It's not the anger. That's how, that's their defense mechanism. So it's like I see those things and it kind of like, well, I see somebody like, yo, I'm gonna have to put this dude down, like ain't no other way, to the way talking to him, like
Yeah.
he's like. So I'm seeing that, and it keeps me at bay. And it also lets me know too, it's like, I don't want to say nothing bad to you. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to do none of these things, because once that happens, that's trauma. Trauma is not always extreme. Trauma is sometimes subtle. It could be a divorce, you know, real subtle. It could be like you could say something to someone and can just like, that's something that's been plaguing them, and you said it and it cut them deep. And now they shot you dead. So it's like you gotta watch, what you say, and stuff like that, because you never know what people been through. You never know the hurt that someone's going through. So that keeps me at bay. I'm able to understand it, like, oh, or I look at some people like, oh, he's like a blowfish. Like, he gets real big, but he's really a small person.
I like that. I may have
So
to use that.
but it's true, like me doing the boxing, I go through boxing. I put myself through a lot of stuff to see what do people try to, how people try to trick you. So many ways they try to trick you, physically, psychologically. It's a lot of ways, through business, illusions, but you got to be able to see through all of it and see the truth. And that's, you got to have a strong mind to be able to see that, because people play on you with your emotions. They talk to you, oh, I know he likes that. I'm gonna keep on talking this to him, because every time I do it, he laughs, and so I know I'm making him feel a certain way. When people know that about you, it's like they control your emotions, and you don't know that, but it's like they know it.
Now, before we wrap things up, I just wanted you to say, like, why do you love what you do?
The reason why I love what I do, and I'm just like kind of getting started with this stuff, is because it helped free me of the lies that were told to me generationally, through society, through the people. It helped free me up to kind of like what this world can be and what it was probably supposed to be. Like, it freed me in so much where it's like I could be my own person and accept my rewards or consequences for my own actions. No one's pushing me to do things. I do things on my own. I'm the man of my own life. I can't say the reason why, this kid is the reason why I can't do this, or this spouse is the reason why I ain't the person. I can't say that there's a strong woman behind me. It's like, is God behind me? It's my education. And it's like, I want a strong woman when that time comes. But it's like, it freed me up from a lot of the stuff that society tried to put on us to kind of control us.
You can find Darryl on Facebook and Instagram. He goes by the name of Scholar Mac. He is also a musician. You can hear his music on Spotify as well by the same name. Until next time, be blessed.